the next part of Project 5 actually demonstrates various ways that you can save your presentation for different output formats. And a lot of these are under the File tab. So I'm going to go to File, and the first thing is, if you go to Save and Send, there's a few different options here. The first one is I can save this as under Change File Type. Let's take a look at this one first. I can save this as what's called a PowerPoint show. And what that'll do is, somebody may not have PowerPoint, but it'll automatically open up and run through a slideshow. So that's one of the three formats I want you to save Project 5 in, is the pp5 format. So all you do is you click on it and save it just like you do any other file that you've saved. Okay, the second type is kind of interesting, is you can say save as a JPEG format. And what's interesting here, it'll save each slide as a JPEG image. So when you hit save, it's going to say, do you want to save on the current slide or every slide? If I save every slide, which I want to do, it'll make 5 or 6 images depending on how many slides you have. That's the second way I want you to save your items for the fifth project. And the third, the next idea, I'm going to demonstrate it, but you don't need to do this for the project, but it may be handy in future items, is I can package my presentation for a CD. And what this will do is, actually, if you have a CD, I can copy the contents to a CD, and it'll write it to there so that somebody puts it in their CD-ROM drive, and it will run that for them. I'm not going to do this because I don't actually have a blank CD handy to do that, but feel free to try that, or at least be aware of it. Something else that might be handy is if someone you know is going to be working on this, maybe like the first part where you're going to be working jointly at a project, you may want to save this as an older PowerPoint format. When you go to Save As, it gives you the options here to save it. Now, PowerPoint 2007 and 2010 have a .pptx extension. But if you know someone else has an older version, which if you have an older version you can't easily open up the newest version, you can come in here and save it as a PowerPoint 97 to 2003 presentation. That way somebody can work on it and not have any problems with it, with older formatting issues or older version issues. So that's kind of an interesting thing, and the book mentions that on there as well. Under the file, let me just show you a couple other things that are kind of interesting. Is there's a check for issues button. Just as I mentioned a minute ago, with somebody working in the older version of PowerPoint, if you click here, you can say check for compatibility, and it will scan through your presentation, hopefully quickly, and it will come up with a list of possible conflicts with older versions. So like right here, it says the shape of any text cannot be edited with earlier versions of PowerPoint. So if you take this presentation into an older version, some of these compatibility issues may come into play, and it's nice. It just kind of gives you a heads up about that idea. A couple other things to mention in here is, if you want to share your PowerPoint with somebody but don't want anybody else to have access to it unless you provide it with a password, you can go up to Protect and you can encrypt it with a password. Now the book uses a password, I believe it's on page 306, and I want you to use the same password just so I can open it. It's Tornado2Windy. And it actually has you type it twice, like a lot of things do, just to make sure they match up and make sure you get it correct. And then what you would do is send that file or allow someone to have that, and also provide them with the password. Otherwise, they won't be able to access it. So that's kind of a security way of keeping things along that line. Along with protection, and I'm not going to do this either, but just note it, is you can mark as final, and that makes this a read-only document, which means people can't easily edit it and go in and make modifications to it, which is kind of an interesting idea. And then the last item I want to mention on here is, under presentation, you can add a digital signature. And what a digital signature is, The digital signature will include your name, the dates, what company you work for, and things along that line. And that's mentioned in the book. I've already set up a signature for my computer, but it's on page 310. So that's also interesting to add. And let's see. There are some other options in here that the book does talk about briefly, but I just want to hit the high points as far as different ways you can export or save your document for secure and other people's availability.